academic discourse, but also to honor the memory of a towering figure in the fields of comparative literature and Tamil studies, Dr. K.C. Chalapan. Fondly remembered as Dr. K.C., Dr. Chalapan's contribution to Indian literature is nothing short of extraordinary. He was such a scholar whose work transcended boundaries, bringing Tamil and world literature into meaningful dialogue. His Tamil translation of Rabindranath Tagore's Gora earned the Sahitya Akademi Award for translation in 2020, a recognition not just for his linguistic prowess, but also of his ability to convey the rich cultural and philosophical layers.
To officially open our conference, I would like to invite Dr. Harpreet Kaur Vora, Associate Professor, Department of English, Pondicherry University, and also Organizing Secretary of this conference, to deliver the welcome address.
Thank you, Rakhi, and thank you, Drishya. Good morning, everyone. I, on behalf of the Department of English, School of Humanities, Pondicherry University, welcome you very warmly to the two-day international conference on mirroring change, literature and social transformation. As you have already seen, we are organizing the conference to honor Professor K. Chalapan, a teacher of teachers and a doyen of English literature in South India, who passed away around a month ago. The contributions he has made to literature will be valued for a very long time. Literature has predicted, analyzed, and critiqued social, economic, and political change for a very long time. This has contributed to understanding social and political transformation through a medium conventionally seen as creative and fictional. While Orwell's cautionary tale 1984 predicted the effects of totalitarian regimes and surveillance, Harriet Beecher's Uncle Tom's Cabin helped lay the groundwork for the American Civil War. If Steinbeck's The Grapes of Wrath brought into full view the travails of America during the Great Depression, Munshi Premchand's Godan brutally exposed poverty and the evils of the zamindari system in India. Literature has thus been constantly in sync with the changing silhouettes of society. The conference aims to explore how literature has closely interacted with and mirrored the intricate matrix of the social and political environment. This interaction has resulted in innumerable texts that have reflected these significant changes and helped us understanding an ever-changing world. The wide gamut of social, political, economic, cultural, sociological, and anthropological change has prompted the writer to ask questions, show up the mirror, and sometimes even offer prescriptions for ills, making literature a vehicle for social transformation. The conference aims to explore and investigate the significant role that literature has played in reflecting these changes, acting as a truth seeker, sentinel, chronicler, and critic, all rolled in one. I take this opportunity to welcome our keynote speaker, Dr. Sarita Budhu, writer and activist from Mauritius. Dr. Sarita Budhu is well known across the Indian diaspora communities for her seminal contributions to the cause of Bhojpuri culture, in particular the Bhojpuri language, being the founder of the Mauritius Bhojpuri Institute and chairperson of the Bhojpuri Speaking Union. She is the author of several books, articles, and conference papers in that discipline. Widely traveled in India, South Africa, Caribbean countries, and others, her work continues to make a powerful impact. We are sure that Dr. Budhu's deliberations will enrich our understanding of the close connections that exist between literature and social transformation. I also welcome our guest of honor, Professor S. Armstrong, Chairperson, School of English and Foreign Languages, University of Madras. Professor Armstrong has been a constant friend of our department and is a man of many scholarly interests. I also welcome our eminent speakers, Mr. Tenzin Sundi, poet, writer, and refugee rights activist, Ms. Kalki Subramaniam, global trans rights activist, queer artist, author, and actor, Professor G. Aloysius, independent researcher, and Professor P. Kannan, senior professor and chairperson, Department of PG Studies and Research in English, Karnataka State Akka Mahadevi Women's University. We are sure they will widen and deepen our understanding of literature and social transformation. I also take this opportunity to welcome Professor N. Natarajan, former head and founder member of the Department of English. I would also like to welcome Professor Shalmiri Achrif, who is the head of the Department of French, Professor Thiruvalmergan, and also Professor Ritu Tyagi. We also want to make a special mention of Professor Ritu Tyagi, who has brought Dr. Sarita Budhu from Mauritius to be able to deliver our keynote address. A warm welcome is also extended to the chairpersons of various sessions of the conference. I would like to welcome Dr. A. Rama Subbayya, Principal, Manar Thirumalai Nayakar College, Madurai, Professor S. Udaya Kumar, Head of the Department of English, Madurai Kamraj University, Dr. R. Dayala Krishnan, Head of the Department of English, DDE Madurai Kamraj University, Dr. S. Thiruvanarkarasu, Muthuragam Government College, Vellore, Dr. A. Chandra Bose, the Madurai College, Madurai, Dr. K. Ravichandran, Head Department of English, Thiruvalur University, Dr. C. Govindaraj, Head Department of English, Periyar University Extension Center, Dharmapuri, Dr. R. Rajavelu, Head of the Department of English, Kanchi Manunivar Center for PG Studies, Dr. M. Palanisamy, Kanchi Manumivar Center for PG Studies, and Dr. R. Rajarajan from the same institute as well. I also would like to welcome Dr. K.S. Suresh from Bharatidasan Government College for Women, Dr. S. Sujarita, Pondicherry University Community College, and Dr. R. Indumati, Pondicherry University Community College. I extend a warm welcome to Professor K. Taranikarasu, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Pondicherry University. Professor Taranikarasu has, through his constant guidance, encouraged all the endeavors of our department and doesn't fail to celebrate with us all our achievements. I would also like to welcome Professor Clement S. Lourdes, Director, Culture and Cultural Relations, and Dean, School of Humanities, Pondicherry University. Professor Clement is always alive to the needs of our department and leaves no opportunity to encourage and assist. I would also like to welcome Professor P. Thilakan, Dean Academic, Pondicherry University. Professor Thilakan is always forthcoming and helps us wholeheartedly in our endeavors. I would also like to welcome Professor T. Marks, Head of the Department of English. Professor Marks is a source of energy and ideas and has taken the Department of English to new heights with his enthusiasm and guidance. A warm welcome is extended to the faculty members of the Department of English and other departments of the university. Welcome to the research scholars and students of our department. A special welcome is accorded to our delegates who have come from all different parts of the country. I would also like to welcome members of the press, the non-teaching staff of the department, and the staff of the electrical wing of the university are also accorded a warm welcome. The conference has seen very enthusiastic participation, And we are quite sure that the deliberations of the next 2 days will lead to many more fruitful discussions and the emergence of new ideas and opportunities for further collaboration. We hope that the delegates have a fruitful experience and take away enriching memories of their stay at Pondicherry University. A very, very warm welcome once again. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for such a warm welcome. It is my distinct honor to introduce our next speaker, Professor Clement S. Luth, Director, Culture and Cultural Relations and Dean, School of Humanities, Pondicherry University. Professor Clement has been a driving force in promoting cultural initiatives, and we are especially grateful for his generous sponsorship for the cultural events of this conference. His commitment to fostering creativity and dialogue is truly commendable. Without further ado, I invite Professor Clement to the stage to deliver the presidential address. Sir, please.
Esteemed Vice Chancellor, Professor Tharanikkarasu, Professor T. Marks, Head of the Department of English, Professor Armstrong, Chairperson, School of English and Foreign Languages, University of Madras, Professor Tilagan, Dean, Academic, Dr. Sarida Budu, writer and activist, Professor N. Natarajan, former HOD of English, Pondicherry University, my good friends Harpreet Kaur and Aishwarya S. Babu, faculty of the English department, invited guests, scholars and students. A very good morning to you all. Our English department is something special in the university because it is one of the dynamic departments where we can hear not just noises but voices of the individuals. Not only voices but the sweet songs of the students during cultural program every Thursday. Just like what Shakespeare said in Tempest, sweet music that gives delight but hurt not. Other departments in our university may have several ventures, but in the English department alone, every day is an adventure. It all happens because of one man called TM, whose initial, when expanded to Snapchat language, means trust me. Yes, I can easily trust him, for he could make impossible possible. I also consider him to be the legendary Sisyphus, who has been lifting the department to such great heights, with a difference that this enormous weight will never roll back to the ground again. Kural, our newsletter, just like its namesake, Thirukural, has the immorality to stand the test of time, recording all the events of the department. Before you go for coffee break, read our coffee table book. You may not feel like going for coffee again, since the literary caffeine in it must have refreshed your exhaustion by now. Apart from regular academic assignments, the department organizes national and international seminars periodically. From the great scholars, alphabetically arranged, to an ordinary photographer who said, I am yet to know my English alphabet, no single talented person is left alone for the individual talks, which is another hallmark of our English department. The title of the international conference has already set on me. A student from the English department is now director of Pondicherry University, and his own old student is the external PhD examiner for his junior student. It is not just a matter of pride, but it is mirroring change in literature and social transformation. I hope that this international conference is going to be a great success in every way. All the best to Dr. Harpreet and the student coordinators, Raki, Drishya and Stewart. Thank you very much.
I now have the pleasure of inviting Professor P. Tilagan, Dean of Academics, to deliver the felicitation address.
Respected Vice Chancellor, respected Director, dignitaries on the dais, Professor Marx, and my dear colleagues, participants, and my dear students. Good morning to one and all present here. First of all, I should specially thank to Professor Marx for inviting me to talk about Professor Chellappan, because I came to know that Professor Chellappan was working as a faculty at Rajas College, Pudukottai. So I am the alumni of Rajas College, Pudukottai, and I don't know the period of his service over there, but we have a very special attachment to our college, and we have a group, our own group, physics group, and we are running our group very nicely, associating with all the activities of Rajas College. So Professor Chellappan, I came to know that he was serving there, and then he was moved to Paradidasan University. And I would like to tell you something here, that now entire globe is surrendering to like a village in all economic activities. So in this case, we have to understand the globe, and then we have to move together without forgetting or losing our base values. So without losing our base values, we have to understand the global activity on economics, and we have to cope up with them. Unless we do that, we will lose two things. One is our base values, our tradition, and second one is the enriched life standard. So for this, there are a lot of contributions required, a lot of understandings required. So in this case, I found that Professor Chellappan was trying to translate many of the literatures and related values into Tamil language. And not only, English translation. And also, Professor Chellappan was found translating our own literature into English language. So this is the greatest contribution apart from his teaching skills. I think you would have known about him that he is the best teacher. Okay, yes, he has got 50 students graduated. This was told in the video movie. Beside this, as a social scientist, he has done a lot of work like this. This is a very important contribution for the society. So it is good and great that Department of English is focusing on such kind of conferences, international conferences. I think this is a third event I am attending, and so we known to unknown, from our own professors, known professors, we are trying to reach the unknown facts of the world, particularly here about the literature. So I wish all success to this international conference. Thank you very much for giving me opportunity. Thank you very much.
We now turn to our honoring session, where we take a moment to recognize and celebrate the distinguished guests who have joined us today. Our research scholars will present tokens of appreciation to these esteemed individuals, acknowledging their significant contributions to their respective fields. I invite Reshma Das, research scholar, Department of English, to honor Dr. Sarita Buthu, writer and activist, Mauritius.
Professor Taranikarasu, Vice Chancellor of Pondicherry University. Keynote speaker, Dr. Mrs. Sarita Bothu, writer, activist from Mauritius. Professor Clement Lourdes, Director, Culture and Cultural Relations, Dean, School of Humanities, Pondicherry University. Professor P. Tilagan, Dean, Academic, Pondicherry University. Professor Nadarajan, former Head, Department of English, Pondicherry University. Dr. T. Marks, Head of the Department of English, Pondicherry University. Invited speakers, Tenzin, Ms. Kalki, Professor Aloysius, Dr. Rees, Professor Kannan, and invitees from different universities from Tamil Nadu, my dear friends, research scholars and students. Coming to Pondicherry University and being with Marx is a great experience, not only for me, as Professor Clement rightly pointed out, I also have some more observation for Professor Clement. He is also TM, he is a tall man, and he is a supporter of Trust Me, Marx. So the two TMs, I am very sure, it's not only Pondicherry University, all the programs organized by Dr. Marx is setting high standards. You take this one conference, the video of Dr. Chellapan, I struggled a lot when he passed away. I was not able to collect the proper pictures and everything. We had a very good event in University of Madras, but I was not able to bring out a video. And I'm so happy that Professor Marx was able to bring out a very innovative video about Dr. Chellapan, who was called the teacher's teacher. And the rare moment of this event is he guided 50 students leading to PhD. I am the last student, 50th student, and Professor Nadarajan is the first student. So this is the rare occasion that a great scholar like Dr. Chellapan produced. Not only that, Professor Chellapan coined logo for Bharathidasan University, and he curated Department of English in Alhappa University, MS University. He started encouraging lot of scholars, not only in India, abroad also. He was a great lover of Margaret Lawrence. He was invited by the Canadian government to be the reviewer of Margaret Lawrence Review, a great journal. And he was invited to Russia as a cultural ambassador. So I can go on talking about that, but Professor Marx was able to bring out everything in one video. Not only that, the Department of English, Pondicherry University, in collaboration with Research and Cultural Forum, they used to have very innovative programs. For instance, they used to invite a lot of scholars across India for delivering very innovative lectures. I just want to share with you one example here. Professor Marx conducted a conference related to millennial studies, I think 2 years back. You may not know, there are a lot of themes discussed in that conference, that millennial literatures around the globe resulted in questioning a lot of traditional literatures. In the syllabus of University of Madras, and also in many universities when I visited as an invitee for Board of Studies, I used to recommend Professor Marx, theme note of the conference. Please give him a round of applause, because many universities in India started introducing a paper called Millennial Literature, including Stella Maris, including Women's Christian College, Ethiraj, and many colleges in Kerala also in Karnataka and Goa also I am in touch with them. So one of the important areas that University of Madras is promoting after his conference is BH or Blue Humanities. So many of my students started, doing research in Blue Humanities and also environmental humanities, and that led to, enriching an area called oceanic humanities, maritime studies. Like that, one conference can influence, like Malala said, one pen, one book, one child can transform a society, Similarly, the program organized by the Department of English, Pondicherry University, one event can transform and also bring lot of insights into literary world. In that context, I congratulate the Department of English and the entire team for having a scholar like Marx, a professor come painter, Dr. Clement, and also his paintings are there here elsewhere in this campus. That gives a lot of respect. The kind of art that we celebrate is being respected here in this campus. Our Vice Chancellor is a great man of ideas, and he has been encouraging conferences like this. Thank you so much, Professor Vice Chancellor, for giving space for humanities where we lose a lot of hope. I wish the department to bring more scholars. Look at the way Marx invited the guests across India. That is how we have to imitate. Nothing wrong in imitating good programs. Definitely scholars will be inspired by this event after 2 days of deliberations. We have very good scholars who are going to give inspiring lectures. So I am not going to give a kind of lecture. I might take 2-3 minutes max. As Malala said, books always brought transformation in this world. If you take 17th century, 18th century, 19th century, in each century, only one book that created revolution in this world. I can say Walter, okay, or I can say writers like Ibsen, Henrik Ibsen, or writers like Baumach, who brought language to the rural language to the world. So literature we used to tell as a mirror of society. Historically, I just want to quote Terry Eagleton. He said, I quote, "Great art, which takes the fullest measure of human experience, will also take the fullest measure of its social conditions." I quote. Literature does not exist in a vacuum. Rather, it engages with the real world issues surrounding it. Our Tenzin, our Kalki, they are all mirrors of contemporary society. The reflection of reality can be seen in classic works like Charles Dickens' Hard Times, written in 1949, or take George Orwell's 1984, which provided a chilling commentary on totalitarianism and the erosion of personal freedoms. That these texts continue to resonate with readers today, urging us to reflect on our own political and social climates. Through this lens, we see literature as not only a mirror, but also a lamp. What kind of lamp? Shedding light on dark corners of society. It enables readers to see injustice and inequality and inspires movements for change. You take James Baldwin, an iconic figure in African American literature, once asserted, I quote, "The purpose of art is to lay bare the questions which have been hidden by the answers." James Baldwin's work, The Fire Next Time, written in 1963, laid bare the complexities of race relations in America, speaking to the urgency of social reform and the role of literature plays in these transformations. Literature is not only a mirror, it is an agent of social change. While literature undoubtedly mirrors society, it is not merely passive. It can also be an active agent of change, prompting readers to question established norms and envision new possibilities. I quote Sartre. I quote, "Writing is a way of wanting freedom." Sartre believed that literature, in its deepest sense, had the power to liberate both individuals and societies. This liberation is evident in the works of writers like Harriet Beecher Stowe, many of you might have heard of this book, whose novel Uncle Tom's Cabin, written in 1852, sparked debates over slavery in the US, contributing to the eventual abolitionist movement. Stowe's novel demonstrates literature can be revolutionary. It can stir emotions, challenge dominant ideologies, and provoke action. Contemporary literature, you take Arundhati Roy's The God of Small Things, written in 1997, critiques the rigid class structures and persistent legacy of colonialism in India, while Margaret Atwood's The Handmaid's Tale, written in 1985, serves as a haunting reflection on the dangers of patriarchal control and the loss of female agency. These modern texts invite us to consider how literature not only reflects social issues but also forecast potential futures, urging readers to imagine alternatives and resist oppression. So the role of literature in changing times, if you take Things Fall Apart, as all of you know very well, written in 1958, Achibi, I quote, "The writer cannot be expected to be excused from the task of re-education and regeneration that must be done. In fact, he should march right in front," I quote. That is Achibi. In contemporary times, authors like Adichie continued this tradition. Her novel Of a Yellow Sun, written in 2006, illuminates the Nigerian Civil War. Yet, it also speaks to larger global concerns of identity, power, and resistance. Writers like Adichie remind us that literature is not only a reflection of the past, but a critique of the present and a harbinger of future possibilities. I just want to conclude, like literature is a truth seeker and critique. Literature serves not only as a mirror, but as a sentinel, a truth seeker, and a critique of societal ills. It is not only utile et dulce, utility to delight and teach. The third role of literature now assumes to liberate. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, sir, for your insightful words. It's my honor to stand before you on behalf of organizing committee as we celebrate the release of the abstract book for this remarkable event. This collection represents not just the hard work, research, and insights of brilliant minds, but also the spirit of collaboration and innovation that defines a community. As we delve into the abstracts, we are reminded that each contribution, each study, and each finding is a step towards progress. This book serves as both a reflection of the work done and an inspiration for the journey ahead. So without further ado, it's with great pleasure that I invite our distinguished guest, Dr. Sarita Budu, and our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor K. Taranikaras, to release the abstract book of this conference.
Respected Director, Culture and Culture Relations, and Dean of School of Humanities, Professor Clement Lours, Professor P. Thilagan, Dean Academic, Pondicherry University, Dr. Mrs. Sarita Budu, writer and activist from Mauritius, Dr. Professor S. Armstrong, Chairperson of School of English and Foreign Languages, University of Madras, and all the other dignitaries sitting in the dais, including Professor T. Marks, Professor Nadarajan, Mr. Tenzing Sunde, and Ms. Kalki Subramanian, and all the delegates from all over India and abroad, and also the students and PhD scholars, and ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, everyone. So I am really happy to deliver this inaugural address in this two-day international conference titled Mirroring Change, Literature and Social Transformation, which is organized by Department of English, Pondicherry University, in honor of Professor Chellappan. I could see the work of Professor Chellappan through videos, and I could also see some of his students and the contributions. So really it worth remember him and honor him through this two-day international conference. Under the chairmanship of Professor T. Marks and the deanship of Professor Clement S. Lours, so students could see there are many activities in the department. It makes highly vibrant department, and this is the kind of support and exposure we have to give to our students, master students as well as PhD scholars, so that they will gain the exposure and get the knowledge. As all of us know, the research means a spark. From that spark, we generally develop our research, and these sparks can take any time. So this is the occasion, so where when we go through the interactions, when we see the others' work, then we get a spark, then we'll build upon and go for our research work. For this, I really thank Professor Marks, Professor Clement, and all the faculty members, students and scholars who are tirelessly working for this, successfully running this conference. I take this opportunity to appreciate the entire English department. Just now I saw the abstract. There are more than 422 or 425 abstracts. So it is really huge. So it is not very easy to handle so many number of abstracts and also the delegates. So this is really an overwhelming response to this conference from all over India and abroad. The topic, if you comes to the topic of the conference is very interesting. It is very relevant to the present day context, which is on how literature and social transformation mirror changes. So as you know, we generally, whatever our emotions in the life, but when we say in the poetic works, so it will be helpful for the society, also in the future generation to understand. So if you take history, the history gives only facts, whereas the emotion reflects in the language and literature. So in this way, the we see all the, we understand all the history, and through these literature means it will be really helpful for the society, present society as well as future society. So literature, as we all know, can raise social awareness and such as industrialization, inequalities among different class of people. So you are all the literature students. It is well known that these Charles Dickens novels, so these issues are well discussed, the poor law, all the how the poor people survived in English, all those things is well narrated in Charles Dickens novels. Literature also advocates for equality, justice, women rights, etc. And literature facilitates the readers to think critically. For example, if you take Common Sense, which was published in 1776, critically supported for American freedom. So as other speakers also mentioned, you can see the vast literature novels as well as poems which supported the freedom movement, all those things. So I was really interested to see the book, the Fahrenheit 451. Since it is scientific fiction, so I could see why they put the Fahrenheit 451. Then I realized that so the author Ray Bradbury, he literally found out that at what temperature the paper can burn automatically. So he found out that at Fahrenheit 451, otherwise it is equivalent to 233 degrees Celsius, it can auto ignite and then it can burn. So it is a 1953 American novel. So it defends the intellectual liberty and stop efforts to restrict the opposing viewpoints. The another novel, 1984 by George Orwell, a 1949 dystopian novel. Since it is scientific fiction, maybe it may be interested to me. It cautions about the dangers of totalitarianism and surveillance, and how a government can control its citizens through propaganda and mass media. So like this, there are many examples in English literature where English literature and the social transformation go hand in hand. I hope all this literature, novels, fiction, non-fictions are discussed in this conference. So it would be really bonanza for all these delegates who are doing research in this field, where this conference would give platform to discuss with the authors in person and to get first-hand information about the research papers discussed in the conference. So I request all the delegates, students and the research scholars to take this opportunity to utilize this platform to interact and have a fruitful discussion. The opportunity created for you is to utilize the chance. It is not easy to bring all the important people to one platform. So behind this, I know there is day and night hard work by Professor T. Marks and his team. So let us give him and team members a big round of applause. I take this opportunity to thank English department for inviting me and giving me a chance to be part of this event. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, sir, for your warm address. It is a great privilege to stand before you today as we come together to honor a remarkable individual whose tireless efforts have contributed immensely to the cultural and linguistic preservation of Indian heritage, not just in Mauritius but across the global Indian diaspora. Dr. Sarita Boodoo, an Indologist, philanthropist, and one of the foremost champions of Bhojpuri culture and language, is an inspiring figure who has dedicated her life to the service of her people, culture, and language. In a world where women often struggle to find their voice, Dr. Sarita Boodoo has emerged as a beacon of strength, wisdom, and compassion. Dr. Boodoo is the chairperson of Bhojpuri Speaking Union and the founder of the Mauritius Bhojpuri Institute, which has become a hub for the promotion of Bhojpuri language and culture. Her establishment of the institute in 1982 was a pivotal moment in preserving the cultural heritage of Mauritians of Indian descent. Through her work, Dr. Boodoo has ensured that the rich oral traditions of Bhojpuri folk songs, known as Geet Gabai, continue to flourish. Her efforts culminated in the inclusion of these folk songs in the UNESCO representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. We are truly privileged to honor her today. Please join me in welcome Dr. Sarita Boodoo as she takes the stage for the keynote address. Ma'am, please.
कलकत्ता से छूटल जहाज पवरिया धीरे चलो कलकत्ता से छूटल जहाज पवरिया धीरे चलो धीरे चलो धीरे चलो धीरे चलो धीरे चलो कलकत्ता से छूटल जहाज पवरिया धीरे चलो उमे आगल बा दादा हमार हो उमे आगल बा दादी हमार उमे आगल बा पगड़ी हमार हो उमे आगल बा धोती हमार पवरिया धीरे चलो कलकत्ता से छूटल जहाज पवरिया धीरे चलो I am deeply honored and privileged to have been invited to participate in this two-day international conference on literature and social transformation mirroring change. Indeed, literature mirrors the change and the social development. On the dais, this conference is in honor of Professor K. Chelapan. I bow to him, to his memory, and as he has written a lot of translation work on Gora. Gora was the first book which I read that inspired me to go and study at the Calcutta University. And on the dais here, I have the Vice Chancellor, Professor Taranaki Rasu, sorry for the pronunciation, the Dr. Harpreet Kaur Vora, Associate Professor, Department of English, Pondicherry University, Professor Clement Loud, Director, Culture and Cultural Relations, and Dean, School of Humanities, Pondicherry University, Professor P. Tilakan, Dean of Academic Pondicherry University, Professor S. Armstrong, Chairperson, School of English and Foreign Language, University of Madras, and the Honorable who is sitting here, who has done a lot of work on Mrs. Kalki Subramaniam, who is here among us, and all the other distinguished professors, scholars, and also my friend, I will call her my friend, whom I met in June in Mauritius, Dr. Ritu Tyagi, who came to interview me. She has come several times. She is a girl of Mauritius also. She has come several times to Mauritius, and it is through her that I am here on this dais today to be part of this very prestigious and honorable work that the English department of the University of Pondicherry is doing. And I see here my young friends, the scholars and the doctoral students, and so many, the hall is full, so many are standing, which is a very good sign for this two-day conference. I should like to say that I am connected with Pondicherry in so many ways. We Mauritius. The first thing is that Mauritius 400 years ago was uninhabited. There was no human being there. There was only the dodo, which you know is now dead as the dodo we say, which is dead, no more. And when the French came, so many colonial powers came to Mauritius, the Dutch, the Portuguese, but they left, and the French came and they stayed. And when the French stayed, they invited the governor, Mahe de la Bourdonnais, who was then in Pondicherry here, and in the here among so many other French units in the south of India. They asked him to come and be the governor of Mauritius because it was so difficult, so expensive to get somebody from France to come. And therefore, when Mahe de la Bourdonnais came to Mauritius in 1735, he brought with him artisans and workers, free artisans and workers from Pondicherry to work in Mauritius. Therefore, I must tell you, Professor Vice Chancellor Ji, that you have a great responsibility now that to establish an MOU with the University of Mauritius so that the students here, the people of Pondicherry can trace their roots in Mauritius, their people, their friends, because you are linked to Mauritius in blood, in history, and in so many other aspects. You have contributed to the making of Mauritius. In fact, the streets, the buildings, many of these are made from people from Pondicherry. Be proud and be happy about this. And you may send, I think it is time for the university to establish a relationship so that there will be an exchange between the students, professors also of Pondicherry to come and trace their connectivity with Mauritius. The other thing is, when I was very young, I was studying geography honors at the University of Calcutta. My father came to visit me. I wanted to go back home. I was so homesick. It was in 1963, so long ago, as a Government of India scholar. And therefore, he took me on a visit of India, and he took me to Pondicherry also. I was so fascinated. And to see so many French names, so many streets which are so similar to the streets in Portuguese. I felt I was in Portuguese, and I think that helped me to stay back in India. Now, you must know that coming to the topic, the Kolkata Se Chhota Jahaj, this song, I heard it from some women singers whom we call Githarin in Mauritius, and who have brought many songs from India, and which some they composed also on the way, the long traversée of the oceans, the Kalapani, and very, very hard, harsh journeys, not only to Mauritius, to South Africa, the Caribbean countries, Trinidad and Tobago, Suriname, Guyana, the French countries there, the islands, Guadeloupe, Martinique, the French island in Indian Ocean, the Réunion Island, and Fiji, so many places to work there. And this story, this is this narrative that they have written with their blood, with their sweat, with their tears, to make of all these countries today rich countries. It started after the abolition of slavery. When slavery was abolished in 1834, much before that, the planters, like the French and so many others, they felt that they were going to be ruined. And Mauritius was the country which they chose to see whether this system of immigration would work. And it did work. And therefore, it is from Mauritius. Some people went to South Africa, and then the regular shipping started from 1834 right till 1924. But this period of 90 years, about 5 lakh of Indians came to Mauritius. Some of them came back, some stayed back. And over the whole plantation diaspora, about 2 million people all over. But the thing is that these people came as indentured laborers. Indentured meaning they had signed an agreement. And because the Bhojpuri, mostly people from Bihar, UP, and all these places around Kolkata. And also after that, they brought people from Vishakhapatnam, from Madras Presidency, down to Maharashtra. And therefore, they saw that these people they were not slaves, they were indentured labor. Like today, people go to Dubai and so many other countries are contract people, contract workers. But because the masters had been used to for hundreds of years to dominate, to treat the slaves as less than chatters, less than goods, you know, and therefore they used that same way of treatment, humiliation, and ill treatment, injustice. They dominated them, and for over 100 years, these people who went from hundreds of villages of the eastern UP of that time it was known as the Presidency of Bihar, Bengal, Awadh, and Orissa. So all these were together, and therefore people were taken from thousands of villages, and not only one Bhojpuri. When you cross the rivers in the Gangetic plain, you find as you cross the river, there are so many different types of Bhojpuri. But all these, from 26 districts, they formed one Mauritian Bhojpuri in Mauritius. And in Mauritius, we don't have only Bhojpuri, we have several languages, because we have languages of the colonial powers, like French has stayed. French language is very prominent in Mauritius, very loved, very endearing. The French law and the French, the Roman Catholic religion, which because they made a agreement, the French with the British, that you are taking over the colony, but you must retain our language, our habits, our law, and our religion. So this is how French is today a very powerful language in Mauritius. But the English language is the official language, but the lingua franca is Bhojpuri, together with a language which was made from French and other languages, including Bhojpuri, called Creole language, Creole, Mauritian Creole. Therefore, it is a very fascinating, a place which was uninhabited, is now so rich in cultural vibrations and languages, religion, because we are a multi-ethnic, multi-religious, multi-cultural country. So many different ethnic groups, and within the Indian community, we have a large Bhojpuri people of Bhojpuri origin, Bhojpuri belt, coming from Chhapra, Ara, and from Jaunpur, from Banaras, from Patna, and so many other different districts. But we also have people from Tamil Nadu, from Telugu, from Andhra Pradesh, from Pondicherry I have mentioned, from Maharashtra, from Gujarat. They were the traders who followed the immigrants, indentured immigrants, to supply them food, dal, roti, kapra, and so on. So therefore, it is a very, very Mauritius, a very rich base where you can see a mini India, and also people call it mini India, but it is not. It is Mauritius, and it is also a united nation, because we live peacefully. As the Professor Vice Chancellor was telling me, you have Bengali community, Tamil community. No, it is not like that. We don't live like that. We have these communities which are all respected, but we live all together. I may have as my neighbor a Creole, I may have as my neighbor a Tamil, a Telugu, and I go to a mandiram, I go to a kovil for the functions, for the Ram Bhajanam, and Kavedi is done in Mauritius. and so many other aspects. So we all live as one united, harmonious, big community with all these small communities within. And the government of Mauritius respects all the languages spoken and written in Mauritius. Therefore, under the Ministry of Arts and Cultural Heritage, under which I operate, an act of parliament was made to create speaking unions. Like you have Tamil speaking union, Telugu speaking union, Marathi speaking union, Hindi speaking union, English speaking, French speaking union, and Bhojpuri speaking union also, Chinese speaking union also, because we have small Chinese community. So all the languages are respected and given equal status in the law of Mauritius. And I was appointed by the cabinet decision by the Prime Minister as chairperson of the Bhojpuri speaking union. You must be also happy to know that the UNESCO, in the wave of the globalization and the changing patterns of our literature, of our ancient traditions, customs, which our people brought, not only in Mauritius, all over the world, people who have their long years, centuries of, even in France, even in England, centuries of customs, of traditions, of folk songs, and ways of life. All these are being deleted, obliterated by the globalization, by commercialization, by materialism. Therefore, in 2003, the countries, the Bolivia especially, brought the attention of the UNESCO to have a convention, the Convention 2003, to promote and preserve intangible cultural heritage of humanity, of the whole, all the countries of the world. And therefore, within this context, the government of Mauritius chose two intangible cultural heritages of the Sega Tipik, which comes from the slaves' Sega way of dance, and the Bhojpuri intangible cultural heritage known as Geet Gawai. Geet Gawai, that is a Bhojpuri folk songs, not of India, but Bhojpuri folk songs of Mauritius. And though we have 200 years which have separated us from India, the songs which we have in Mauritius from the Bhojpuri belt, different places, different ways, they are rich, and we don't only have Bhojpuri folk song, we have games, children's games, we have sayings, we have proverbs, we have Kissa Kahani with Dadi Nani used to tell, and today television is taking their place. We don't have any connectivity between the old generation and the young. So we at the Bhojpuri Speaking Union, we are trying to revive and bring all this into reality. So the Dadi Nanis, we ask them who have learned the Bhojpuri, Geet Gawai, these songs which are preserved in, and I have seen with my research in the Bhojpuri belt, some of these songs are still sung in the same way, same words and the same pattern. And despite the long distance of Kalapani of the sea movement, how can you explain this in the orality, the movements of the orality? Despite so much of separation, the songs are there because they have retained it in their throat, in their memory. And therefore, when UNESCO brought this convention, Mauritius was the first country to sign this convention, and therefore I worked for 4 years on this, on the Geet Gawai collecting. We worked with the university, I worked with the University of Mauritius as a consultant to send the nomination dossier to UNESCO to prove the scientificity of what are these songs, when are they sung, why they sing these songs. For example, with marriage is aspect of marriage, of birth, the rites of passage, of name giving, and we got these women singers to group themselves and to give a signature. Also, they had to give their signature to be saved at humanity. So that on December 1st, 2016, the Geet Gawai Intangible Cultural Heritage of Mauritius became a cultural heritage of humanity. This is really a very, very great achievement. And therefore now, to keep this going, because the daddy nani who learned this from their daddy and their nani, they are dying. And if they die, they will go with this knowledge of humanity, this rich, there are universities. Therefore, I established, as becoming the chairperson of the Bhojpuri speaking, I established a Geet Gawai school. People were surprised. A school for these old ladies, Budhiya Loke school. They said, how come? Then we collected, 80 women came to this school, and the daddy, nani, they were the teachers, they were the gurus, the guruwan, and from one school, we have 51 schools today, all run on a voluntary level. We have also in Mauritius a Bhojpuri channel, you will be pleased to know, running 24/7. But with the Bhojpuri channel, we also have channels for Tamil, for Telugu, for Marathi, for Gujarati, besides the European channels, for Creole. So everybody gets their place on this Committee of Languages in Mauritius. I invite you all today to come to Mauritius, come and see, come and enjoy this beautiful preservation of humanities, languages, thoughts, visions, missions, and their emotions. And we are trying to keep it going through the younger generation, because UNESCO says, in what language is the Geet Gawai sung? So is it sung in Creole? Is it in French? Is it in English? No, it's in Bhojpuri. What is Bhojpuri? So we had to write together with the English nomination dossier, 10 pages in Bhojpuri, how it is written, how it is spoken. They sent their consultant to come to Mauritius to see whether this school is really true, in reality, or it has been invented. And to meet these ladies who are the preservers, the tradition bearers of these songs. And besides songs, there are stories, short stories, and so on. Therefore, I invite you, Professor Vice Chancellor Ji, you send your professor, you send your students, and you're most welcome. And we will link you with other students over in Mauritius there, so that you can carry this connectivity, not only with the Bhojpuri world, but also with Pondicherry. Thank you very much. And I would like now to present a copy of this book which I have written on the Geet Gawai, because when the ladies die, who will know? How will the researchers know? How will people know? Therefore, I collected hundreds of songs from them. I made them sing. We have wrote about this for the researchers and interpreted the songs, and I am presenting this book now to Professor, the Vice Chancellor, Professor Taranani Kara Tarusu.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for soothing our ears with your beautiful song. And we were excited to listen to you, ma'am. Even at the age of 82, you were like a roaring lion who conquered this stage with a vibrant song and powerful words. Your words resonated with the wisdom of decades, yet carried the fire and urgency of someone half of her age. Now, as we wrap up our inaugural session, it is important to express our heartfelt gratitude to everyone who contributed to today's success. To do so, I would like to invite Dr. Aishwarya S. Babu, Associate Professor in the Department of English, Pondicherry University, to deliver the final vote of thanks.
A very good morning to all of you. I've been tasked with the pleasant job of thanking you all for taking the time out to be here and for supporting us in this grand event. First and foremost, I would like to thank Professor K. Taranikarasu, our Honorable Vice Chancellor, for the immense support that he extends to all the endeavors of the department and steering and striving to ensure the most conducive atmosphere for research and learning in our esteemed university so that we can aspire to bring out better than our best. Thank you so much, sir, for being here. I thank Dr. Mrs. Sarida Bodu, writer, activist, for making for her inaugural speech, for keynote address, and for the brilliant keynote address. That was a lecture that we will revisit again and again, ma'am, and many time in the future. You've given us food for thought. It was a truly illuminating lecture indeed. Thank you so much, ma'am. Much thanks to our dearest Director, Culture and Cultural Relations, Professor Clement Luth, the most ardent supporter for all our programs. Thank you, sir, for those happy words and for setting the mood of the day. Thank you, sir, for the presidential address. My sincere thanks to Professor P. Thilagan, Dean, Academic, for gracing the occasion and always wishing us the best. And Professor G. Aloysius, he doesn't need an introduction. You cannot talk about nationalism, you cannot talk about anything in academics without mentioning his name. From the first lecture that I heard as an MPhil student in Madras University to the very many lectures that I had the good fortune to listen to, and the wonderful books that illuminated and kind of made me think. And as somebody who studied nationalism, it's truly an honor, sir, and I'm very sure that all of us, each and every one of us, will have something to take away from your lecture. Thank you, sir, for being here, for accepting our invitation, and for your time. Then Mr. Rice, I don't know him personally. It's my first time meeting him, but in my last year, I remember Parul, one of my very good students, telling me about when I asked her to talk about her experience in Pondicherry University and how it changed her life. She talked about Mr. Rice and how the lecture about Dalit Camera changed her perspective about life and the perspective of her classmates. That is how you truly bring about change, sir, through your actions, through your words, by inspiring a generation of people. Thank you, sir, for being here. Now, thanks to the coordinator of the event, Dr. Harpreet Kaur Gora, my dear friend, and the scholar coordinators, Ms. Drishya, Ms. Raghi, and Mr. Stewart for putting together a very good event. Thanks a lot to my dear colleagues for all the support they are extending to the conference. Thanks to, I'm sorry, it is something that I should not have forgotten, but maybe my emotions got ahead of me when I was talking about the invited speakers. Much thanks to our head of the department, Professor T. Marks. Thank you for visualizing such events on a grander scale every year, sir, and for the myriad of novel endeavors that you inspired RCF and the department to embark on every new day. Thank you, sir. Thanks to our friends and well-wishers from other departments and institutions for cheering us and giving us the energy to march ahead and to come up with something new every new day. Thanks to our gracious sponsors for your support that fuels the event. We are very much thankful. Thanks to our friends in the media for being here, for the technical team, for the office staff, and for everyone who's extended their support for the program. To the delegates and invitees, thank you for being here and for the promise of 2 enlightening and brilliant days of lecture and deliberation. And thanks a ton to the research scholars of the department and my dear students, because it is your hard work and toil that makes this conference a reality, and we owe every element of success of this event to the hard work and the work that you put in. Everything that happens today and tomorrow is due to you. Thank you. Thanks to all and everyone, each and every one of you, for being here and for contributing to the success of the event and for supporting us. Thank you all.